Episode 3. Breaking Through. One move, and you've lost. Bobby had an expression of shock and excitement, which was hard to cover up. I won? And I won in one move? He thought to himself, as a smile slowly grew on his face. Before the battle, because of the changes in his left eye, Bobby was confident that by relying on his reaction speed and vision, he would be able to block one of Tom's moves, and if used well, more than 10 moves. However, the actual result was well out of his expectations. Tom's attack was very fast to some of the bystanders, but to Bobby's left eye, all of his movements were as clear as day. When his left eye was activated, he felt that the opponent's moves seemed slow and clumsy. He was stunned, because he saw faults in Tom's skill. Faults in a high-ranked martial art. Bobby didn't understand it either. How could he see the opponent's faults so easily? Maybe it was because the opponent hadn't fully polished the skill. At last, he reacted on instinct, just like how he had with the fly, and gave the opponent a deadly hit, which allowed him to win in one move. All the other students in the field were shocked. Did I see wrong? The one that lost was Tom. You were right. The person who lost was Tom. All the students opened their eyes wide and had weird faces on. How is this possible? How could I lose to this guy? Tom thought to himself, as an expression of disbelief emerged on his face. He lost so suddenly that he didn't understand how it had happened. At this time, the expressions on Bobby and Tom's faces were comparable. Both did not fully understand what had happened. It was by accident, someone shouted from the crowd, hearing which, everyone started nodding in agreement. You are right. This kid's luck must be too good. He won by accident, another person said, from a different side. He really has great luck. The crowd rapidly agreed on the reason for Bobby's victory. Luck? Maybe. Bobby smiled faintly and turned to leave. Kid, stay there. Tom clutched his stomach as he slowly stood up before he darkly said again. Bobby, you were just lucky before. That's why you won. Let's fight again. Fight again? Bobby scrunched up his eyebrows and looked at Tom. First, you're hurt. Second, I don't have time, he added as he turned around. Bastard. After I'm healed, I'll perfect my 13 changes of the poisonous snake. Then I'll fight you, Tom shouted in anger as he watched Bobby walk away. Looking back on the fight, Tom had his own reasons why he lost, and there were 3 main ones that he could think of. First, he looked down on his opponent. Second, he had only learned the first 3 moves of the 13 changes of the poisonous snake, and there were still many faults in it, as it was not yet perfected. Third, Bobby had too much luck. On the other side of the martial arts field, Bobby started to practice. The reason I was able to win the fight is mainly because Tom looked down on me, as well as the fact that he has yet to perfect the high-ranked martial arts skill, which allowed me to see the faults in it, he thought to himself. Bobby knew the answer in his heart. Tom would definitely not go easy on him in the next fight, and if he perfected the 13 changes of the poisonous snake's first 3 moves, he would not have any confidence in winning again. That was because the difference between a yellow belt and an orange belt was too big. Orange belts were trained much harder and better than yellow belts. Orange belts had strength training as their core training. So an orange belt from the main facility was trained to hit with around more than 100 kilograms more pressure than a simple yellow belt. That's why, under normal conditions, to be a yellow belt and to beat an orange belt, it was also surprising, and even more so to win in one move. The key point is still to increase my strength. Bobby took a deep breath and started to practice flaming metal fist again. The first move, the second move, the third move. The flaming metal fist seemed to be as smooth as water, smoother than it had ever been. Ha! As Bobby finished his routine, he had an excited look on his face. The flaming metal fist had a total of 32 moves, and he could now finish them in one breath, much faster than before. The power of the moves had also increased. After finishing the routine, he felt that his blood flowed better and faster than before, as if it was burning. At the same time, the beat coming from his left eye became even more obvious. Bobby closed his eyes, and his consciousness fell into the pitch-black dimension. At the center of the dimension, there was a faint green light. At first, the green light had a radius of around 60 centimeters, and was quite faint. Now, the area and brightness of the faint green light seemed to have increased. Could it be? Is the eye abilities directly linked to my own strength? Bobby guessed happily. The changes in his left eye gave him the chance to change his destiny. First, it had let him beat Tom, and secondly, when he practiced his moves, they had become super smooth. Again, Bobby's eyes sharpened, as he started to practice flaming metal fists again. Bobby's movement speed became faster and faster, and the moves started to perfectly link with one another. After practicing it for the third time, his speed had already become twice as fast as before, and the damage had also increased greatly. Through his breathing, he felt his blood circulate better, and the parts of his body that could not be toughened before had also started to become stronger. At this speed, I will just need a few more days to break through and receive my orange belt, he thought to himself. He practiced until night, and then wiped his sweat and headed back towards his home. After arriving home, he still was thinking about the changes in his left eye. To continue my bloodline of the eye, you will rule everyone, control every race. You lucky youngster. Do not disappoint me. He recollects the voice saying. He remembered the voice that came from the pitch-black dimension before he fainted. This eye might have come from an ancient godlike existence, and in an accident merged with my own eye, Bobby assumed. Even at night, when he opened his eye, he could still see everything outside. The darkness of the night had almost zero influence on him now. His eye could still see the birds a few kilometers away. Bobby lay on his bed that night and felt his left eye releasing sizzling pulses of heat, which merged with his blood. Under this weird feeling, Bobby fell asleep. The next morning, Bobby woke up, stretched his 4 limbs, and went to practice in a small courtyard outside his house. This yard is too old, and the environment is bad. When I'm stronger, I'm definitely going to let my parents live inside a big house, which has its own courtyard inside, Bobby thought in his heart. Quickly, he began to practice the 32 moves of the flaming metal fist. The fist carried the wind, and now contained extreme power. As soon as he threw a few punches, he felt that something was wrong. Between each breath, his blood was raging, and gave off an aura of power. Every punch now contained at least 200 to 250 kilograms of force. What? He shouted, shocked, as his 2 fists blurred into 2 patches of red light. To determine his real strength, he hit the big tree in front of him, and the branch that he hit immediately snapped into pieces. No, this definitely is not the power of a yellow belt. Could it be? Bobby's heart jumped as he tried to figure out his own strength. To understand his theory of the eye giving him power, he took a deep breath and put all of his power into one stomp. Stomp. The ground shook, and the layers of earth crumbled, leaving Bobby's footprint 2 centimeters deep into the hard-packed ground. His expression turned happy, as one of his palms hit a stone that was at least 30 kilograms and broke it into pieces. This kind of power wasn't something that a town recruit yellow belt could have. The orange belt. I've made it. This strength will get me to the orange belt, I'm sure, Bobby said, as he closed his eyes and began to feel the power coursing through his body. He had thought that breaking through to the orange belt level would take at least a few days. But He hadn't realized that he had broken through after just one night's sleep. His consciousness went inside his left eye, and there, Bobby found that the faint green light now extended from around 60 centimeters to 67 centimeters. He felt that his energy was better than before, and that it also had different changes which could not be explained.